Sedta Long is not the kind of man you meet every day. In 1975, as a 16-year-old boy, Sedta was thrust into the middle of what would become one of the most brutal and devastating mass killings of human history, the Cambodian genocide. This is his story.
I still remember that we heard the sound of knocking on the door and my brother telling me to go and open it. As soon as I opened the door, I felt shocked to find a group of soldiers dressed in black uniforms and carrying rifles. They came into the house, aiming their rifles at my family, and told us to leave to rush, saying the Americans are going to bomb the city. Go now. They told us not to take any of our belongings, that we would return home in a few days. We never did. They said, there is no more family. Forget your father, forget your mother. We are now brothers and sisters, and brother number one is Pol Pot. I was separated from my parents and my 11 brothers and sisters and sent to work in the rice fields. We were working from the early morning from 4:30 or 5 and until 11 or 12 without stop and without breakfast. And when you come back to the kitchen, you get some liquid rice soup. It doesn't matter if it was enough, they didn't care. After 30 minutes, we had to go back to the rice fields and work non-stop until 6 in the evening when we would have dinner and it was the same, rice soup. After dinner, we go back and work until 11 or 12 at night. If you work slow or you're sick and spend too much time in bed, they send you for education. It means that you get killed. We never saw anyone who gets sent for education come back. They walked out into the fields and were split into two lines, one for the men and one for the women. They were told to take off their clothes and then they just waited there in silence. Soon two men walked up to them, one with a stick and one with a machete. The man with the stick would hit them on the back of the head, and the man with a machete would then slice the throat from the front and let them fall forward and bleed out. Nobody fought it. They just stood there and waited to die. Some even begged the Khmer Rouge to kill them first and get it over with.
Pol Pot and his communist Khmer Rouge movement led Cambodia from 1975 to 1979. During that time, over 2 million Cambodians out of a total population of 7 to 8 million died of starvation, execution, disease, or overwork. Cambodia was liberated from the brutal rule of the Khmer Rouge by the communist Vietnamese. In the ensuing chaos, the Khmer Rouge tried to forcefully push the population west away from the Vietnamese army. In early 1979, as a 19-year-old, Sedta made a break for it. He had no idea what he was doing or where he was going, but for the first time in almost 4 years, he was free. He couldn't travel on roads, he didn't know who he could trust, and he didn't know what would be waiting for him when he got to his ultimate destination of Thailand. But he was free. In the wake of the Khmer Rouge, Cambodia was plunged into chaos. Families across Cambodia had been split apart. Nobody had any idea what to do or where to go. It was especially bad for the children. Their parents or any family were either dead or far away, and in the turmoil, few people had the food or time spare to help them. They were left to fend for themselves. Sedta remembers in the first few days after he was able to get away from the Khmer Rouge, seeing children sitting together in a village with nothing and nobody to help them.
They were very confused and crying and crying. I didn't attempt to take them with me at first. I just went to them to calm them down and asked them what was going on. They were split up from their family like, like everyone. So probably their parents were killed during the Khmer Rouge, or they could be anywhere. They were left without anyone to care for them, and they were confused and horrified. And so I said, okay, come with me.
Eventually, Sedta and his group of 20 children made it to the refugee camp on the Thai border. He worked tirelessly in those initial months and years to help the children find surviving family members and to feed those who were left with no one. This service to others would eventually expand into Sedta's volunteering his time as a teacher, where he helped to give the children that he had adopted or other children in the camps a shot at having an education, something which Sedta identified early on as invaluable. This emphasis on the importance of education for Cambodia's children would come to define how Sedta intended to give back.
I wanted to use what I had learned in school to begin educating the children we were caring for. But it was hard for me. During the Khmer Rouge years, my brain had stopped working. Only my stomach worked. Other children soon joined it for the lessons. The makeshift school came to the attention of the United Nations volunteers working in the camps, and it joined to help with teaching. With time, the UN volunteers trained me to become a real teacher.
At the same time that he was helping teach these children, the UN sponsored the furthering of his own studies, and in 1989, Sedta would graduate with a degree in education. He would expand upon his academic basis to include a master's degree in community development and political science, a set of qualifications that made him uniquely suited to development work in Cambodia when he would eventually return home from the refugee camps. Over the next couple of years, he would find the surviving members of his family, his father, mother and younger brother. 10 other siblings had perished during the years of conflict. In the camp, he also met the woman who would soon become his wife, Samsek. When Sedta repatriated back to Cambodia in 1991, he did so with his wife, parents, his own 4 children, and 15 other children whom he had adopted. They would live in what Sedta describes as a shack, with the entire family having to sleep over each other. But it was a home. Sedta worked for various UN agencies and the Children's Hospital, but still found time to continue his own charity work. After finally being able to build a real home in 2003, which he went on to turn into a community education and childcare centre. He both took in orphaned children and provided free classes in English for whomever wanted to take them. This work in management, education and community development for non-profit organisations would lead perfectly into what would become the culmination of Sedta's life's work, the Build Your Future Today Centre, BFT, which he formally established in 2006. Over the years, Sedta and Samsek have adopted and cared for over 100 children, and even today they care for 17 adopted children, as well as their own children and grandchildren, in their home at the BFT Centre in Siem Reap. BFT's guiding principle is that knowledge is hope, peace is development, a slogan that embodies not only Sedta's philanthropic work, but also his personal struggle to overcome the horrors of the Khmer Rouge and move forward. Sedta's life's work, from his days as a teacher in the refugee camps to now the director of his own NGO, has been to help rebuild Cambodia through education. One of the longest lasting impacts of the Khmer Rouge on Cambodia is how the country has since been left with almost no doctors, intellectuals or teachers. This created an educational crisis for Cambodia's young generations, a problem which persists today. In the almost 10 years since, BFT would grow from Sedta's home in Siem Reap to today help over 50,000 people in some 33 different villages. This is Sedta's story.
The years of subjection to the Khmer Rouge left me with one goal. For me, I only wanted to help rebuild a new community and also to improve the quality of life of the people in Cambodia. So this can be only realized once it accepted that the education is the key to developing economic tool and well-being, peace for individual family as well as the whole society. Before Build Your Future Today Center, there were thousands of children and young adults didn't receive proper education and didn't have chance to get a better choice of hope through education. And so far, BFT have grown and working very actively to provide support and project of community education, community capacity building and livelihood improvement, community health and nutrition development. We support orphans and poor children. And also we work to reduce domestic violence. BFT have entered about 2 years so far the support. So we didn't see any school and no children and no teachers, and that's why from the support of our friends in Australia, we have initiated to build a simple building for the community school, and we also provide uniforms. We support the teacher and school bag and stationery and so on.
So we're going to talk about headaches.
Our outreach team mixed with local international volunteers teach the children basic information about hygiene and sanitation. They also checked the children's health and refer them to the health clinic if needed. The story why we do a family adoption, it's related to the children integration. So at the BFT Center in Siem Reap, we have welcomed and accepted a lot of children, and some of the children are real orphans, and some they have relatives. The first time we met the lady here named Uji, she was very disappointed and lived under depression because her husband just left her, didn't know where he go, and left her with the rest of the children and niece under her care. We help her to generate food, to generate income, and about 1.5 years later, we bring back the children, and the children stay with her family. This is one of the community-based Safe Mother and Child Center. Every morning we provide food to the children. After the food, we provide primary health care education, which focus on the message related to hygiene, sanitation, and general education that help the mother or the caretakers to absorb or to learn about basic information which they can comply to their daily living. Every Saturday and Sunday, the children they practice learning traditional dancing. So our community volunteer trainer, they work very hard to provide the training to the children, and not only to build confidence to the children, but also join to preserve the tradition or the culture. To further achieve our dream and mission, we would like to appeal to all our compassionate friends and supporters near and far from around the world to kindly continue supporting and providing the opportunity to build hope, peace and a better future for the people of Cambodia. Thank you very much.